I see, once again, all the mistakes that really go on in the human thinking. And even after we've looked at the technique and did some planning, you know, it is not unnatural for the seller side to want more than you really needed in this situation. It's not unnatural for the buyer side to want to buy it cheaper. As I mentioned, this was an academically created case, so only way it could work was 16-16. Now, what were the variables? Well, you guys could have made a terrible mistake, and in that sense, you did a great job. They could have bought this ashtray. I'm sorry. They could, yes, you could have sold this ashtray. Are you ready for this? All three colors, wrapped, boxed, guaranteed delivery, guaranteed breakage, for 16 cents. So you guys did a hell of a job taking the cost out of the ashtray. You made it a profitable sale at 16 cents. You guys needed a glass ashtray because I don't know if they ever told you exactly what your competitor was. A cheap black plastic ashtray that would make you puke. So, and you had two clues to that, Greg. One is, why would they negotiate with you if they had a price for a lower price? They wanted to buy from you. Secondly, he even admitted, did you ever give him the price for? Yeah, you did give him the price at 14 cents. He was willing to pay you at one point 2.5 cents higher. So the real question in your mind is, and it should be all of our question, why are they willing to pay me more? Now, this is a dumb little ashtray, but there's absolutely no break from the reality of every one of your negotiation situations and this ashtray deal. The numbers are different, and it's a dumb ashtray instead of gallons and gallons of stuff or sales training meetings or promotional or whatever, but it's still a process. Got to go back to human relations issue number one, and I excuse it, and I do excuse it, but I had to start you over, so please accept my apology for that. I excuse it because of role play. Role play is one of the best tools we know for teaching, but it also has that funny potential if you're not careful with it. In fact, I often caution role players in phase one. You're the buyer. I say, rule number one, you cannot be a jerk. You can only throw out two objections. When they're answered, go on. You can only say no once, and then you have to buy. Because the buyer, obviously, in a make-believe situation, is in a wonderful position. He can finally wind up and say, well, my mother sells that stuff, so I'd never buy it from you, and that's frustrating. Tell him the truth. You had to buy it, didn't you?
Yeah, I would have loved if I would have bought it.
He was certain there was no other way he could make his delivery, and it was going to snow in the mountains in a couple of weeks. He's had experience with you. You guys deliver. Japo never dealt with him before. Across the ocean, promises are for bullshit. In the real world, you know your customer wants to buy from you, don't you?
Would it have been advantageous at one point for him to say, well, then buy it from them?
Not in so many words, but his second demeanor was 100% right. His second demeanor would have said something like, and I think you might have said some of these words, you know, Bob, it probably is your best bet to buy it. I don't know how you can get that ashtray for that much, but every once in a while you run across a deal. Take it with my blessing and keep me in mind the next time. Is there anything wrong with that kind of approach from a seller's point of view?
No.
There may be an exception with you. A one customer proprietary product situation like that. But in the rest of our world, shouldn't we walk away once in a while and let the competitor have a deal? Yeah, we really should. Not everybody ought to buy what I sell all the time, and I got to be smart enough to know that. And there is a walk point. And I gave you that walk point. At 15.9999 cents, you hit a walk. At 16 point whatever, you had to walk. So the only place it would work. What I really wanted you to get in touch with was probably better here than I've seen in a long time in any classroom. Did you see the difference in a negotiation, especially the ongoing kind? I'm not talking about how you divide up Germany after World War I. I'm talking about the day you have to go back and do it again. Did you see the difference? A little rapport or a nice demeanor or
yeah.
okay. It goes a long way. I have a very good friend. In fact, I work with him. He is probably as smart as anybody I know. I hesitate to say the smartest guy I know, but he's very, very smart. He also has a crippled personality. And I see people constantly nailing him in a negotiation because he's such a jerk. I even watched a deal once, a real estate deal with him, where the guy walked away from him. And I knew the guy, and I walked down the hall of the club we were at to him, and I said, Howie, why are you doing this? This is a good deal. He said, screw him. He said, I don't want him. I don't want to deal with him. It hurt Howie a lot. But Howie says it's not worth it. So think in terms of making it worth it. I like being with this guy. It's easy doing business with him. So that was an important part of it. Now, technique-wise, we've got a lot to look at. We'll just look at it for a few minutes today because I'm going to keep you to our time frame. But one of the things I'd like you to really look at is every time a concession was made on both parts of it, I didn't hear any conditional closes. For example, let's take the box out. What's wrong with somebody in that process saying, well, let me look into it. Let me ask you a question. If the box meant 2 cents and we could take it out, do we have a deal at 22 cents? Now, you wouldn't have had, but you don't know that in real life until you roll that down. So we gave a lot of stuff away without getting anything in return for it. There were guaranteed deliveries and whatever. Pardon?
They needed to get good confirmation because at times I think he gave out prices that weren't consistent.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to drop.
So there's a lot we can learn from this, and I'll take you just through 10 minutes of it tonight or so, and then we'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. But first, I would like to get a reaction, and it doesn't have to be any more than just stream of consciousness. What's the first thing that comes to your mind that you think you'd like to throw on the table for the rest of this group about what this negotiation did? Just anybody do it first.
Is it necessary to divulge costs to a buyer?
Say it again.
Is it necessary to divulge costs to a buyer in order to bring down a price? I don't think it's necessary.
Is it necessary to divulge cost to a
In other words,
buyer?
if the seller asks you, if a buyer asks you,
What does that cost?
What does this cost you to do? I don't think.
Not only is it not necessary.
Who ask you what costs are.
Not only is it not necessary in most seller relationships, buyer-seller relationships, but the general wisdom is you shouldn't tell them because what they're doing is unbundling the proposal. For example, you thought you had an ashtray sale. You did not have an ashtray sale. You had an ashtray sale, a printing on the ashtray sale, you had a wrapping sale, you had a boxing sale, you had a delivery sale, you had a breakage sale. You had 6 sales. So now if I can unbundle that whole thing and look at each one of those, I can negotiate with you on 6 fronts. And if I nibble just a little bit on 6 fronts, I'm going to hurt you. Somebody you know in, this another division of DeSoto, had an awful arrangement with one of their clients for years. Clients came in and knew all their costs. There was no way to deal with that kind of situation. It's terrible.
Well,
Yes.
we got products that have a lot of different options too, but we will negotiate. But it's not cost factor. It's that if you brought this unit without this feature,
Right,
price
price per feature.
Price
Right.
features that
Yes.
you bring down. You have
And
absolutely no idea what the cost
even there, Greg, it behooves you, I think, to know what the right package is and present your proposal packaged. You know, item A, B, C, D, and E, $22,921.18. The minute they're clever enough to say, well, what does option A cost? What's the price? And if they can get you unbundle that, that's a leg up for them. So that's
Yeah, but then they're also comparing apples to apples. Let's say AT&T comes in and has a product that just produces a ringing tone, and I got dial tone, busy tone, and everything else on there that when they first put the quote in, I thought they wanted the whole package, and I find out that maybe I'm not quoting apples to apples.
okay. If you made a mistake or you think that
I wasn't quoting apples to apples to Jambo either. I was quoting an ashtray, but a plastic, it's got glass
But we
here.
never even knew it was
Instead of glass
plastic.
ashtray.
Yeah, but now you're going to have to deal with your friend Rita across from you there, because they never told you it was plastic. Weren't you under the impression you were dealing
Yes.
against a glass
Yes,
ashtray?
and I probably made a mistake in asking. I should have asked.
Well, I don't know if he would have told you. Would you have told him it was plastic? Would you have said it's an ugly black plastic ashtray?
No, that was one of our strategies. I just
and you shouldn't have maybe.
If he
Poker.
asked you, what would you have said?
Poker is the inventor of that black plastic on that coffee pot over there, which is sometimes known as Bakelite. It was the first of its kind in the world of plastic. I don't know what they call it, but a special kind of plastic. That stuff revolutionized manufacturing in the United States in that you could put non-heatable, non-meltable handles on all kinds of things. Cheap, it was moldable, you didn't have to machine it. It's right up there with the pill, some people think, okay? Now, when George Bakelin invented this stuff, he's running around the country. He was a research scientist up in upstate New York, and a guy by the name of George Eastman happened to see this camera, or this plastic, and said to himself, "Boy, would I like to be able to make cameras out of that crap. This cookie cutter, cheap, the world of the cheap camera might happen." So Eastman sent some people to Bakelin to find out if Bakelin would sell Eastman Kodak the rights to manufacture cameras exclusively out of Bakelite. So Bakelin, according to his biography, went home to his wife, who he respected her opinion very much. They ran the business together. And he said, "How much do you think we ought to charge this camera company, Eastman Kodak, for this?" And his wife said, "Well, what do you think it's worth?" And he said, "Oh, God, $60,000? And she said, "Why don't you ask him for $100,000? So Bakelin went to George Eastman's office. Now, I've been in George Eastman's office. It's part of the permanent display of Eastman Kodak now. It's like a shrine. It's maybe 4 times bigger than this room, stacked this way. It's quite impressive. You can get a little intimidated when you walk in. Now, picture this little research scientist from upstate New York walking in to meet George Eastman. And he's going to ask for $100 grand. Okay? George Eastman gets up. He was supposed to be a little bitty big guy. Walked over, shook hands with Dr. Bakelin. Said, "Dr. Bakelin, I'm prepared to pay you $1 million for the use of your plastic to manufacture cameras." And Bakelin's reported to have said, "Yes." So now it's a big deal in front of the press. They have one of the big cardboard checks with $1 million made out to George Bakelin. And there's a banquet afterwards. And George Bakelin is kind of a nice, simple man, okay? And he's drinking too much champagne. He is now a millionaire. He thought he was going to get 60 grand. And he's drinking too much champagne, and he starts laughing. And according to the story, Eastman says to him, "George, what's so funny?" He said, "Don't get mad, okay?" "I'm not going to get mad. I'm happy." He said, "I would have sold you the rights to my plastic for $60,000. And Eastman cracked up, just cracked up. There were tears running down his face. And Bakelin said, "Why are you so happy?" He said, "I'm not happy." He said, "I was prepared to pay you $10 million. So one of the arts of negotiation is hiding out, not giving clues and whatever.